So in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about creating a good cover letter for your jobs, right? So one of the first things I would say before we get started is that make sure that you save this document to your Google Drive, right? So the first thing I would say, go File, go make a copy, and then give it a name that you like, and then that way it will be saved onto the computer, your computer correctly, right? Or to your Google Drive, more specifically correctly. Okay, so there are three components to you can see to my cover letter here, and then you can see people seem to be very interested in the cover letter because of the table you have, and I'll show you how to essentially construct the table based on my ability and my experience, so that way you can essentially attract the recruiters that you need. Okay. So the first one is essentially identifying, your first and last name. Start listing those things out here, and then make sure that you are, insert your email address, phone number, city and country, and obviously if you have a LinkedIn profile, if you have one available. Okay. And the next thing is basically, dear hiring manager, if you know their name, that's great. You can, basically, target directly to them. If not, then you can essentially say, you dear hiring managers will be good enough for you. Okay. And the next thing is essentially identify, how long you've been working as a, project manager, right? So you can say as a seasoned project manager with over, 10 years of experience, you can say hypothetically, right? And I'm applying for the advertised job title, right? You can say senior project manager position, right? So that's one of the things that you can do. And then you can essentially, on the next sentence, you can say I'm a hands-on project manager. You can say, if that's what your current title is, and experience in skills, right? What kind of skills that you experience as a project manager, right? So, for example, for specifically the project manager role, there's, budgeting involved, planning involved, making plans, right? And also, how to do scoping and running kickoff meetings and things like that. So you can kind of state your skills here that you found out. And the best way to know what these skills are, the job description. If you go through enough job descriptions, you can essentially see what those are, right? So if you look at even some of the job description items that are here, you can see, effective communication, scope, collaborating with team, defining and designing, and designing, I would say defining tasks would be one of the major ones, right? And managing backlog, right? Could be another one. So there are different skills that you probably gotten used to doing over and over again when you're working as a project manager, right? So that's for. And if you're working in any other IT roles, the same, right? Some of those things, that processes that you need extensively for your role. And you can also talk about some of the some of the tools as well. Like, for example, whether you use Jira or whether you use Asana or whether you use Trello. Like, these are, popular project management tools that is out there. Project managers generally use. Even Microsoft Project could be even one of them that is extensively used, right? So you can essentially start listing those things out as well, right? So that way they kind of get to know, okay, what your specific skills that you're essentially that you have, that you can show them, let them know what you have essentially. Okay. And the next sentence is essentially just talks about, giving you a little bit of, giving them a little bit of understanding of how you will work, right? So I believe that my combination of my experience, teamwork, communication can help your organization build highly effective products and services for your customers. Attached, you will find my resume and a brief description of my qualification for your review. I look forward to speaking with you in further detail about the open position and opportunity to work with the company name, right? The name of the company. So these are some of the things that you essentially can write that. Obviously, you can modify it if you want to add a little bit more information. But that's kind of the way I usually send this cover letter, or at least I ask my students to send the cover letter with. Okay. And the next one, I would say the most exciting part of it is essentially creating this table, right? So this table is one of the things that you can see that it attracts a lot of recruiters, and a lot of recruiters, if you have the right experience, at least they will reach out to you because you are kind of showing them exactly how the advertised requirements or the job requirements matches with your qualifications, right? So you can see, in this section, right, the advertised requirements, essentially what you need to do is go through the job you're applying and find about 3 specific requirements that speaks to your qualifications, right? For example, here for this role, right, work with clients to define vision, scope, project of the project effectively, and communicate the vision to the creative and development teams, right? And then you can say, if you have done similar work like that, you can say conducted feature mapping and requirements gathering session with prospective and existing clients to formulate scope and backlog, right? So that's kind of similar work that you have done in the previous roles, right? So you can essentially identify that in that. And another one, you have collaborate with development team to define, design, accept, adapt features, and ensure that each iteration delivers expected results. So you can say ran kickoff sessions between design and development teams, and scheduled and ran Scrum and Scrum ceremony meetings, tracked release and burn up, tracked releases and burn up charts, right? So basically some of the tasks that you have done in the role, right? So this is kind of the way I recommend that you create your cover letter. That way it's more meaningful for somebody to take a look at your cover letter and see the matching experiences. So that's one of the things I also tell a lot of people, is that once you started to create about 3, 4, 5 of them, you will start to see, like especially if you're applying for the same type of roles, the requirements going to be the same, and then you can see what basically matches your specific job requirement, and you can advertise requirements and then kind of bring the same qualifications over from your previous ones to a newer ones that you are applying for. Okay, so that's what I have for with this video, and I'll see you on the next one.